and welcome to the Creative Constitution podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Thomas de Weger, a photographer, an artist, used to be in the army, still is in the army.
Very interesting man.
Very interesting. And today is also the first time that we're trying a 3-person podcast, so that's very exciting. Hello, Thomas. Welcome.
Definitely put me on the spotlight here for a first podcast.
Yeah, well, we're ticking a lot of boxes, and today's episode is very special. It's all about staying true to yourself as an artist, making
not
sure...
losing yourself. Yeah,
not losing yourself, and also just sort of dealing with the struggles, the pitfalls, and things like that. So
and staying positive throughout. And
yeah, very exciting.
With our freeway camera, whoa, freeway.
Yeah. So Thomas, give us a little bit of background on yourself. So what do you do at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm just in the army, reserve. I'm in the army reserve. At the moment, kind of transitioning to doing photography outside in civilian world, and it's definitely a bit daunting. I started off joining Army Reserve because I didn't know what I was doing. I started off doing film and just kind of like something that I always thought I wanted to do, and it's what my family thought I wanted to do. Joined the army, and one thing led to another, and new drones, doing film. That's how I met Deb, and I just kind of said, hey, said to somebody like, hey, I can do drones, I can do film. What can I do? And they just said to me, oh, well, can you do photography? Albeit I just did photography probably only a week or so beforehand. I was getting into it and I was like, oh, sure, why not? And it was just about taking that leap and saying yes and just trying something different just trying something completely different that was out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I took photos of some event and everything. And I was like, I was on top of the world. I thought it was great. I look back, they were awful. These photos were awful. But it was a spark of something beautiful. Yeah. Which I've now found definitely a passion for. So for the past year, I've been really, really delved into that and just doing photography on the side as a separate job for the army. And that's where I really found that. And since then, been studying photography, and it's just really been a wild journey. And it's crazy to look back and just think it all came from just saying yes to something unknown. Wow. Like, it's crazy how life can send you in so many wild ways if you just take that leap into the unknown. It may be a small step, it may be a large step. At the end of the day, it's just going with kind of that excited gut feeling that a lot of us get.
Well, did it feel daunting for you when you sort of were approached and maybe you had that 30 seconds to make your decision up in that time?
Yeah, the time between and yes, sure.
Yeah.
What was going on in your head during that moment, man? Like
imposter syndrome. 100%. I was like, I did not know what was going on and one thing led to another. Within like 2 days, they were like, hey, be here at this date, this time, at this place, you're taking photos. Mind you, I was just like pretty fresh out of basic training at this point. And very kind of green and new. And it was just, it was just kind of jumping into it and trying it. And I definitely learned a lot from that first, being like not getting in the way, and just a lot, really, just a lot of learning experience, but it all kind of worked out. And I feel that if you've got that positive attitude and if you keep saying to yourself, it'll be okay, it always does, because you find a way for it to work out well.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
How did they deal with sort of the photos? Were they bad in your eyes, or were they bad in their eyes, or was that just you sort of doubting your work?
Well, they did get used, so clearly they thought
they must
they
have
were
liked
maybe
it.
okay.
So it's good. You did the job. They didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
But maybe because you had the background and a little bit of film experience, you were harsh on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mainly looking back now, seeing that, and it's definitely like putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and realizing that, okay, it isn't that bad. That as a creative, we often get very, very critical of our work, and we have to think a perfectionist. But also just realizing your audience. Who is this for at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And what kind of content are you putting out? Is this just for a social media post? You don't need to do an hour on one single edit, making sure the colors look amazing and to this special standard. Is it for the gram and just to get some stuff out there? You don't have to do that. Look, fair enough if it's a fine art print and you need to do it, but kind of realizing what it's for is the most important part.
Yeah.
That is true. I just spent like the last few weeks just editing my short film over and over and over again and just like watching it over and over again. And I think you get to a point where like you just sort of lose the larger vision of it, where like you need to stop being so critical of it. Because like I get really perfectionist, sort of like what you brought up. I know Jazz gets like that too with his music, and you just sort of want to get it so perfect, but that can be hard to achieve. Very hard to achieve.
Yeah.
And then you start doubting it and you're like, is this even any good? So I was wondering if you felt like that with your work when you were sort of producing that, like before the send button, gets clicked.
Yes, definitely. And it's not something that just filmmakers experience and not something that photographers experience. It's really all creatives that when we love our art, we love what we're producing, and we understand how far it could go and all these little things that we can do to a product that we try to do it all, but we don't. It's just about identifying like, what is this for? And is the time that I'm spending on this trying to make it perfect, when in reality you can actually make it worse, especially for color in photography. You can do a million different things to it and change this and change that. I mean, look, Lightroom Classic in like photography, there are so many different things. Like you've got at the top your white balance and you got your calibration as well, which is like green to purple. It's very similar. Like you know what? It's just a different word for changing different things. And like, yes, it can get a bit they do have their own means, and some people will say you edit this way. Some people say you edit this way. But just find something that works for you and what's getting you the results now.
And what works for the job as well, like you said earlier. I think that's really smart. Like, I relate to that, especially in the single covers and the album covers and stuff, and a lot of just photography and graphic projects. Like you said, man, there's a lot of different effects you can use. There's a lot of different visual settings. 30 or 40 of those could be amazing. Now, you could spend a week trying to choose which 30 or 40, clicking between all of these settings and different color palettes or film filters, like when you put a color grade on a film, right? And for Devoured, there's 4 or 5 that would all work and look amazing. But is that what the job requires? Again, what is the project, like you've said? And let's just look at what's needed for that project, because there are a million great options out there, but you'll drive yourself insane trying to switch and think again and edit again and change it again to get this perfect version. Really, there's no perfect version.
Exactly.
There's heaps of amazing versions, and you've got to force yourself to choose one that will work for the product, that will make that product good for the job it's designed to do.
I think there's something, because my background is in business, and I studied so many business books and things like that, and they always say like launch before you're ready. Like there's always that sort of attitude of like, I can either put like 10 more days into creating something and like just tinkering with it, or I can and just get it maybe like 10% better or 5% better or even 1% better, but I can just get it launched and then start testing the audience and testing the product and just sort of getting feedback on it, and I think if you think about it in the creative sphere, how many people's short films are like stuck on a hard drive, still not finished, or photos that have been taken that are not edited, or you're still waiting for that perfect camera to come to your step, or like the perfect preset or whatever.
For the color grade, like 6 months for that final color grade that you're going to decide on that's going to sell the aesthetic of the film. It just
stops people.
Yeah, well, what's important, maybe it's better sometimes just take a step back and whether that be find some way for mindfulness, meditate, go to the gym and recognize when you're like in that heady kind of headspace, and just take a step back and be like, okay, I just need to meditate. I just need to do my mindfulness and then come back to it, because and in that time you can evaluate what's important to you. it's due at this time. You've got to get it out. And when it comes to creative processes and photography, sometimes it's like there is no date. So it's hard. You just got to put something down.
Yeah.
But what's more important to you? It's due in 3 days, spending 3 days worrying about it. And then literally at the last minute, and I'm sure we all did this in school and university and everything.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you've just got to do something. So is it better to just pick something now, even though it might not be perfect, and just get it out there and then work on the new project, and just get the stress out of you? Or, I mean, is it more important for you to just stress about it and find that perfect color grade,
and waste another month of your time going for those incremental 1% improvements? Or,
exactly.
It's funny though, because there's a dilemma always, and it's like we like to play devil's advocate here, and it's just like you can do that, and that's great, or you can move on and whatever, and just like launch whatever you've got. Like let's just say your short film edit, or even your photography that's just been like, say your photos have been edited, you did a quick pass on it. And then, you know, you want to get to that perfectionist state where like you get it to a perfect point. But maybe that time you put in is actually going to make it better and going to improve it so much so that you'll get recognition and things like that. So like, where do you draw the line?
That
do you have a
final
process?
decision from making it a warm color palette to a cold color palette could be the massive difference that photography project, someone's picked that up and wanted to buy it or something.
Well, that sounds a little sarcastic,
maybe.
so maybe not.
Though.
But yeah, that's right. I mean, do you have a process for when you go, you know what, I'm done with that? Or do you just keep tinkering until death?
Look, I can't say I've got anything like set in stone at the moment. I'm still working it out. But especially with clients, and especially when you're working with somebody else, or like photography, it's usually clients. You're working for somebody, or somebody else kind of has, you have a vision, but it's for somebody. Asking them, what do they prefer? For film, it may be like, you're a director, you have that full control over the film, but ask the cinematographer, ask the editor, like what they think, just so you can like have an idea of what like somebody else thinks, or you're not in your head all the time. It's not just you. And that's it. It's not just you. You've got other people around you to help you. Photography, you can make it seem a lot more lonely, but just ask somebody else, even a family member at the end of the day. And other times it's, if it really is just me and it's just my photo, I took this. Shout out to James Clear, Atomic Habits, amazing book that has helped me. Just looking at it and just being like, sending it out. Literally just being like, I am done.
Yeah.
And because you've gotten to that point where it's just like, I'm over it.
Well, you brought up the habits, which Jazz and I have been working very hard this year on like setting our habits and sort of like going to the gym and doing all that stuff. And personally, I find that the more set in stone things I've got, the better I am when I do get creative. Like I'll be on a film set and I won't feel tired because I'm actually like healthy and have been going to the gym and have been sort of doing a bit my manifesting in the morning and things like that. So like, do you have a process that you've sort of developed or you're still chipping away at, which helps you be more creative?
It's all like a learning journey at the end of the day. And definitely through, I love this book, Atomic Habits, and just through reading through that. And look, I'm not perfect. No one is really. And it's just finding small things here and there, and definitely like community. Finding a community which supports the behaviors and who you want to be. And then it just becomes a little bit easier to work out what you want to do. Just a little bit. You've got, so just an example, like completely unrelated to this, like you want to play guitar. You can sit in your room and try and develop all these cues, and so you can develop the cravings. Like you set up your guitar in your room. I'm going to do this. You set a time. That can all be well and good and all, but the strongest way to develop a habit is just go to the guitar club. Just go to those people who are doing the thing you want to do, and they also probably have a lot of it worked out as well. And it's just that community that supports you creativity, or you creatively to get to where you want to do. And look, I can't say I'm perfect on it. I'm still trying to find my community. I'm still trying to find myself, but it's just about maybe having that one person that supports you.
And again, you look at the really successful people within the creative field. I can't speak personally on photographers. I don't know. I know a few successful photographers. A lot of them are freelance. A lot of them are sort of like rogue agents, and they don't really have groups of other photography guys they discuss a lot with. That's just from my perception, though. I know a handful of photographers.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of other ones out there that are on various groups and share their work. I know on the film front, definitely when you do establish that community that you can trust, and definitely on the music front as well. Well, that's a lot harder on the music front because there's a lot of egos, a lot of different genres. But I find that there are successful people out there, and the reason they're successful is because they're around other winners like them. They're around other musos. They're performing with other people, or they're shooting films or working with people on sets that are of their level, that they can trust for their feedback, that they've got someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And then there is a lot of, solo goers. And it's hard, man. Like, it is very hard to find a community I think you can trust.
Yeah.
And that's like half the journey, I think. It's you're slogging alone for so long within this creative field. But then you look at the ones who are really doing very well. They're ones who have slogged it out for long enough to find a community, to build a team of other people they can trust. And then it's like a echo chamber. Everyone feeds off each other, fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
Definitely my biggest inspirations from photography, it does start with a bit of a community, even if it's just one friend, even if it's just one other person that shares a similar vision to you and just wants to create. Just wants to create. It doesn't have to be big, but if you're in a community that doesn't support that, they're probably going to tell you, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know this, and it won't work out for you. And so you're probably going to be like, it won't work out. It won't do this. So you're not going to go and try.
Yeah, you need people that are going to uplift you. Like even, I know you mentioned the one like about sort of having someone that even sees eye to eye to you, like the vision part. I actually think it can be sometimes even simpler than that. You just need someone. It doesn't matter what their skill set is. Doesn't matter if they've ever even done what you're doing. It's just like they're wearing the figurative, like, you're my number one fan, or like, that sort of, that supportive system there, I think will get you further than anything else. Like, you actually don't need a whole village to support you. You really just need like 3 really good people, or even just one person that really believes in what you're doing. Like, they look at your photos and they're like, Tom, this is amazing. Like, you have to keep going, because if you don't, you're missing out. Like, you really just have to do that. And there's the tall poppy syndrome. I think that's totally real.
That's why it can be very hard to find people you can trust and build a little creative community within your creative sphere, whether it be music, song, dance.
There's so much competition, and like, as much as you want everyone to support you and stuff, I don't know if you've felt like this at all, but throughout my like sort of coming out as a creative, because I wasn't always like this. I didn't always make films. I had a very boring background, and then when I started making all that stuff, I just sort of felt my like friends like sort of fade away and just not really like support.
The people you thought were friends, that weren't
they
really
just sort
anything.
of like not there, like when you actually need them the most. Like, because in that first like little section of time when you've just started a project, or you've just started a new film idea that you're working on, or something like that, or a new photography project, that is the time when like your brain will pick up on every negative little bits of energy, because they'll go, oh, my friend said it wasn't that cool or whatever, and then you'll be like, oh, it probably wasn't a great idea anyway, and you shut yourself down. So like, have you had a sort of like an experience like that where maybe you've got the spark, but just your community's not there to sort of help you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's like, definitely family can probably be the hardest part as well. And I bet all of us can relate to it. But and like, my family have definitely at times been like, no, you can't do that. Like maybe that wouldn't be a good idea, but it is a difficult process, and it's just about surrounding yourself around the people that do support you. Because if you listen to your family all the time, and often if you do have a supportive family, they just want to protect you. And what kind of life would that be? And that's what I tell myself now. Like, I mean, my mum certainly is just like, I don't want you to go. Don't go and hike. Don't go and do this. It's dangerous. And it's like,
yeah.
What kind of story do you want to tell? What kind of story do you want to tell your kids, your grandkids? And that's kind of thing. Like, if someone could write a book about you and like your whole story written in a little book, what kind of book do you want that to be?
Yeah.
Pretty damn exciting.
Exactly. And like, look, being in the creative and taking that leap, it's exciting and exhilarating, but it's also scary because it will go up. It like you'll have your highs, but it means also your lows are going to be damn low.
Yeah, the highs are high, the lows are low. You got to take risks. That's really what it comes down to. You said something earlier before the podcast started, which was you wanting to potentially start like a business of some sort, but you sort of lost the passion about that. So I'd love to touch on that.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What's the story?
Yeah. So I decided to start doing more, kind of realizing that maybe army photography wouldn't be great. Isn't really my direction. And then what happened was it was just like, okay, let's start the civilian stuff. Let's start to, just do stuff out of it. And it took a while to get back into my photography. And once I did it, like, just started to really go off. Like, stuff started to happen for me, and it was like good. And then people said to me like, oh, you can make money off this. You can do this. And then I was just like, oh, maybe I can. And then I spent like 3 weeks, a month just getting boom, boom, boom into the money, setting up a website, doing this. And then I just started to take jobs and do stuff just because of money. There was, and look, occasionally it is good just because you need to do that, but the photography now became a way to support myself and just for money rather than just about like
passion
and just creating those amazing moments. And I did lose myself a bit with that, and I had to take a step back and was like, whoa, where am I sending this? Do I want to be somebody that does things in life just for money and stability? I mean, it's certainly who I used to be, and that didn't work out well for me at all. And so I just, I at the moment I've just taken a step back and been like, wow, okay, where do I want to take this now? And going back to the roots, and it's like, I just want to tell stories. I just want to, of the individual person. It's I didn't do the photography in the army because for money. I did it because I wanted to tell stories of the individual person,
I feel like that's a goal though. It's sort of, you want to get that good at your passion where that's your full-time job and you're making money off it and you're surviving on it.
But that's an after effect. That's just how I see it.
It should be, right?
Yeah,
you shouldn't be doing it to make money. If you're doing your passion just to try and make money, that can be not so good.
That's a dark hole to go down.
If you're doing your passion really, really well and you're making money off it, like full-time wage off it, I think you shouldn't feel guilty about that.
No, not at all. But also just doing it because you love it, like not losing that kind of sight about, and like, look, sight and direction can change, but also not kind of forgetting where you came from, like, and I'm sure this may happen for a lot of people, even celebrities, that they get like all this money or they do all this stuff and they're doing really well, and they just completely forgot, like, I wanted to get into this to help people, to show people, like, for me at least, just to tell the story of the individual. And I mean, sure, if you're doing this for a full-time wage and you're not, and it's just like kind of a job now, might be good to do other creative kind of aspects or do something different. But yeah, for me and my personal experience, it was like, just doing it too fast and just focusing on that. Man, the most important thing to me is I just love people, the individual, you know? So many people have so many interesting stories to tell and to learn from, and just people. I love them. It gives me energy. I love talking to just random people and getting to know their story. Definitely finding a way to make it work and showing the world is my next step.
Hell yeah.
The pressure is hard. I think like creatives will often put a lot of pressure on themselves to monetize their work as soon as possible. Like I mean, I've definitely been that sort of person too. We've had a whole episode where we talked about hustling and like things like that. And you are right. I mean, there's almost like a point where like it becomes a job, and as a result, you just want to quit that job. It's like sort of no different to your regular job and how you could be impacted that way. So yeah, it's crazy. But also you got to monetize it at some point. Otherwise you'll be sort of slaving away at like another thing and making someone else's dreams come true.
Yeah, it's definitely a product of, like, at the end of the day, it is the society we live in. Like if you want to live in Australia, in any kind of society, like modern day society that is, like you got to find a way to live. And if you really want to do this full time, you just got to do it sometimes, and that's it. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
It's hard with the three-way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
You sure you don't want to go first?
No, you go.
I feel like it's a time thing too. Like the fact that sort of, I think you just found your passion with photography, and then already you were going balls to the wall sort of thing, trying to build a brand and a website and monetize it. Yeah, that can be dangerous because you're trying to do that very, very early, just after finding your passion.
Yeah,
where it's like if you've been doing something for say 5 to 10 years and you know you're good at it, you've been doing it, but you still can't make any money off it. Maybe the reason you haven't is because you haven't gone, okay, marketing business brain. I need to monetize. I need to build this into a brand now. I've been doing this for long enough. I know it's my passion. I need to start earning from all this energy I've invested years and years and these skills I've invested years and years and years into building. So I feel like that could be a healthy point to think that way about monetization.
Yeah.
But as you've said, from real experience, from you experiencing that, like burnout or that losing the passion for it, maybe that was a byproduct of you trying to go in to that marketing business mindset too early.
Yeah.
Too early on into just finding your passion and starting to really get good at it and practice.
Exactly.
Well, I was just thinking when Jazz was talking about that, it's like the fact that you were sort of talking about how you had different projects, and the projects were maybe what was kind of making you feel a little off about sort of the passion being turned into a job. But could it look better if like you now know what drives your passion in a positive direction, so you now know sort of the projects that you can take on so that you make the money, but you also don't get creatively burned out because you're working on things that really don't interest you?
Yeah, definitely. It's learning. So life is learning at the end of the day, just learning from the experience and applying it. Sometimes we may make that mistake again, but yeah, just don't, like, if something's not working for you, like, acknowledge it, honor it, and just keep moving on. Like, that's definitely, like, listen to the signs. Listen to the signs if it's not working for you. I certainly, as soon as I turned into a business, I couldn't find any more things to do, any more people to kind of photograph, and it just, my whole world just, and it's definitely a mindset thing, just kind of felt so much to do, and I kind of lost myself. Like, I wasn't doing, like, I wasn't going to the gym as much. I wasn't doing my kind of my daily meditation. I wasn't seeing my friends as much. And like, those are the kind of the core pillars that keep me up. And I've recognized that and I've learnt that. And yeah, it's just, now it's not just dwelling on the past and just being here now. And that kind of brings us to where I am now, which is trying to be present in every single moment. The future is just like, and just a like book, and like my philosophy that I'm developing is The Power of Now. Amazing book by Eckhart Tolle. You can either believe in it or not believe in it. It's a very kind of one.
The Power of Now. Look it up. Buy it on eBay today.
I love reading, so I'm just gonna like shout out my favorite books and the stuff that's helped me.
Oh, that's great.
just being present in the moment. Like if you're like the future is it's just your mind imagining that like what could be. How many plans have you guys made and they've just completely turned out not that? And so just not worrying about it. And the past is just, it doesn't exist. It's just a memory.
Yeah.
You know, like the only thing that is real is now, right here, us doing this podcast.
Yeah, the decisions you make in the moment, 100%. You can plan for the future and then a choice comes up and you could say, and I think we were discussing this a little bit downstairs as well, a choice could come up that you're sort of, you're a little bit scared to take that leap, or you don't know, or you think, I don't know. But it's usually those choices that you're in the now moment and there's a option A, option B. And you go, I'm going to go with the least comfortable one. I'm going to take the risk. I'm just going to say yes and just try and see what happens. And they're usually the things that turn out really, really good. And the things you plan and you write on a will achieve by this date or will achieve on the list, they're the things that either don't happen or if you work towards it, it usually kind of fizzled out anyway and it didn't become what you wanted it to become.
Exactly.
But it's those now choices in the moment, empowered, energetic, positive mindset choices you make. Take that leap, take that creative risk, do the project that sounds like, I don't know, just give it a go. And that could be your best work. That could be the best opportunity you've taken and get you further in your career.
Yeah,
That's true. Well, your today actions lead to your tomorrow's present as well.
Yeah, like...
What?
That's some philosophical stuff right there.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, though, like, yeah, I totally agree with both of you. But also, I take the approach of like you got to have goalposts, something to look forward to.
You'd like to have some good planning still.
I like to plan. It must be my personality. Where like like today I wrote down my goals for next year. I don't know if you guys.
You've probably finished them, half them already, knowing you.
And then you're right. You have to live in the moment because the moment creates your future.
Yeah.
And you're right. The past is a memory. You can't change it. Too many people dwell on the past. Oh shit, didn't do this, didn't do that, didn't achieve this in time, didn't do this, blah blah blah. You know, like all of that it just all impacts like what you do in your day to day. Because if all your memory storage is taken up by you thinking about the past, how the hell are you gonna achieve anything today? Because you don't have any RAM left.
Good point.
You know,
balance.
The camera jokes.
Your SD card's full.
Yeah, your SD card's full. You gotta.
Shouldn't have shot all those in RAW. Should have just.
No, dude, never in JPEG. Don't insult me.
Always. I don't have room for those 50 megabyte photo on my Photoscape editor. What the hell?
That's
got
hilarious.
like 5 meter long self portrait.
That's hilarious. Thomas, what are you doing for next year? Like, do you have any big 2024 aspirations? I don't want to say goals because you're the power of now.
The power of really, it's my dad gave me a very, very interesting kind of fake word, which is coddy wobbling, which is kind of how my life is at the moment, being just walking purposefully to an unknown destination. Just having those kind of ideas, having those this is just me. People can have their like big beers. This is where I'm going to be in my career. Need to progress here. This is just how I like to live my life, which is just to have these kind of abstract ideas that I want to travel in a van and do my photography. I want to just travel and kind of seeing how life takes me. And personally, that's just brought me a lot more happiness. Just being here now rather than, okay, I have this here, I have this, and like, okay, I'm doing this trip in January and then I'm going to TAFE after that. And then after that, I'm going to do this other trip. Just kind of like, you don't know what's going to happen after that, like that trip in January or whatever.
Yeah.
And look, so many people, so many different ways to live your life. Just live it the way that you see fit and works for you. Because and this is just what's important to me, what makes you happy. And just because it goes completely against everything you've ever known in life doesn't mean that it's bad. The unknown oft is the most crazy and best path that you can take. That little sensation to do something which seems completely bonkers, completely like, I don't know what's going to happen, that I'm meant to be going home and doing this, turning left at this roundabout. But you just have that little feeling to turn right. You don't know why.
What happens if I do this instead?
It
can be your best adventure.
Having that curiosity to just turn right. I mean, look, balance definitely. If like there is like something that is due in an hour, 100% turn left, trust, maybe go with your mind.
Yeah.
But oft what I found,
keep the client happy. Finish the job, get paid.
Yeah.
But for life though, you know, like this stuff, this is the stuff you remember. Like I don't really remember most of the times where, you know, I stayed up studying or I was doing the things that I was told to do and the things that
the mind
society tells you to do. The things I remember the most, my core memories, are times when I took chances, I took risks, and I did it because I was like, why not? Let's just give it a go. Like, same with traveling. Like, everyone told me, don't go backpacking in Asia alone as a girl. And you know what I did? I went backpacking in Asia alone, and I had some of my best experiences. It was literally mind-blowing, and it transformed my brain. It transformed my ability to take chances, my confidence. Everything just boosted from that one experience. When everyone told me to go left, I went right. And same with creativity too.
Exactly. Like you may have an idea of which way you want to go. You may have this. It certainly happened to me. I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. That didn't end up well.
Top Gun.
Look, that would have been amazing. Flying the Hornets, the jets up in the air, man. What happened? What happened? Like, life happened, and love and happiness and crazy adventures happen. They may not have all been great, but they helped me to grow and learn. Like, you don't, after you've done a hard thing, you don't regret it. Like, you like, unless you're really in your head and it's just kind of all like, oh, that was horrible and everything. And certainly I've got people in my life that do that. But just seeing it as like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Like, I've done some crazy stuff just from feeling. And I remember them and I laugh and I've just got a smile on my face remembering those times. Like, I'll just give one example. I was out looking after a dog house sitting and I was just like, went up to the backyard and I was just following him. And I was like, where the hell are you going, boy? Yeah. Where are you going? And I was like, oh, I just had that feeling, follow the dog.
Yeah.
Dude, I went for a 3-hour bushwalk at like 10 o'clock at night. I didn't know what happened. I had a great time. Like, I felt great. I had like this experience. I found these new locations. And yeah, I did get to bed at 12, but I just tried not to be too hard on myself and just like, those are the times that you remember. That little feeling that you follow. And I've never personally had a time where I've followed it and it's ended up badly. It's always ended up okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's where I'm at in my life.
I've heard that very often as well, like from a lot of people, that's the case. You go right when everyone's telling you to go left, and 90% of the time, not 100%, 90% of the time, like, it's usually great, or there's usually this great adventure.
And it's a mindset as well.
Yeah, so
even
if we could apply that creatively. Yeah,
and even if it doesn't turn out well, turn into a positive.
Yeah.
Oh, I got robbed. Okay,
amazing.
I learned this time. Maybe apply my mind a little bit. Look, maybe that's happened to somebody by following their intuition, but like, just seeing life in a positive aspect, that learning is such a blessing and so incredible that, you know, even if something goes bad in life,
It's more data to analyze and make you stronger and make you into more of a beast to succeed and win at things and not lose as much, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Character building.
Yeah, character building. Yeah.
You just like, it's like the little kids that learn to ride bikes. Do you want to bubble wrap them and just make sure they never get cut, bruised, hurt? Or do you want to let them live and figure out that if you do this, or you run straight into a tree, that's probably going to hurt? Unfortunately, that's just life. Like, you have to let people live and explore. I think, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, for me, it's like I have to constantly be exploring. It doesn't have to be every day, but just, like, something that keeps me going, you know? It's like, oh, I want to see new places. I want to go to new beaches. I want to test new waters. I want to scuba dive in these new places. Like, all of these things will make your creativity better, but it will make you a well-rounded person.
And what book are you going to have at the end of the day? When it's your time to come, what kind of book is that you're going to pass on to your kids, your grandkids?
Sat at home and made excuses and was lazy or just tried everything, threw crap at a wall until the world had no option but to go along with me, you know? So
yeah, exactly.
The risk takers have bigger books.
Take risks, force things, make shit work, make exciting shit happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Thomas, where can people find you?
I do have an Instagram. I'm just getting into the photography space, so not much on there, but Thomas de Weger. Thomas de Weger, so Thomas Deweger.
We'll put it down in the thing
in the caption,
and people can see your channel grow and all your photography projects upcoming in the future. Just the now, just the current photography.
The now, exactly.
The future projects will eventually become the now,
That's
and then
right.
we can see them all.
And one little part that's helped me always, when you're starting out and you see this amazing photographer, this amazing videographer that's done all this stuff, if on Instagram or anything, scroll down all the way to where they started, and then you can set a baseline. That's where they started. I can do that.
Yeah,
just strive for that bottom of that amazing person, and don't compare yourself to where they are now. I mean, look, comparing is terrible, like something that we all struggle with. But if you're gonna say set a baseline, set it to where they started.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that. And just to add quickly, also, if you see an amazing photographer or videographer or something impressive on Instagram, leave a comment.
Yeah,
click heart. Say, "Whoa, amazing, man! Looks so cool."
You'd be amazed like how many of them actually get back to you as well. And your favorite photography be like, "Oh my god, they got back to me."
Yeah.
That's
We
amazing.
can all do that on
on
something incredible instead of just a picture of a girl's bum on the beach or some tank bloke doing, 200 kilo bench press, which of course they can because they weigh 200 kilos. So it's really not a surprise. If we can leave comments and love to other, share the creative love to our community, guys. You see something impressive, say, "I dig that, man."
Yeah.
Awesome. And spread that love. And then we will start to game the algorithm and that sort of stuff will get up there.
That's
Be good.
Thomas, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Honestly, it was amazing. You're very wise. I love this, like, more like philosophical conversations. It's really, really good. It's a nice breath of fresh air.
I'm really glad that it was like very upbeat as well.
Yeah,
something that
very good.
A few philosophical conversations get a bit down, but this was really fun. Thank you.
Well, it's good because everyone's going to want to attack those goals and take those risks and be in the moment for 2024. And I think going into 2024, what a great headspace to be in.
That's right. And do you have any last words for someone who's listening for 2024 to bring into that next year nice and strong?
Be now.
Be now.
Be now.
Thank you for listening. This was Creative Constitution, and we'll see you
in the
next one.